Well, good morning, Samson, and good morning to your viewers and listeners. This is clearly a very sad position to find ourselves in Ghana. So firstly, let me commiserate with all those who are involved. The 31,000 are those who are directly involved, but there's an indirect spillage of others who get into, who have been affected by this. And I think that before I go into the causes, let's look at what is immediately important. People need the three basics, which is, and I won't do it in the order that is normally dealt with, because actually the first is shelter now. And then we look at food, and then we get to clothing. So normally they say food, clothing, and shelter, but in this case we say shelter, food, and clothing.
All right.
So shelter becomes key, and we have to find a way to actually ensure that all these 31,000 displaced people and more to come, because the slipways haven't been closed. There's water still coming from the dam. So there should be a plan, we hope, in place to say if this escalates or goes beyond a certain place, others who are in vulnerable areas have been identified, and there are steps to try and evacuate them even before it gets to them. So that is key for me in terms of whatever planning they are going about now. Then you have to look at the health issues that are going to be generated by the amount of water and stagnant water in the area, which is polluted.
Yeah.
Major concern.
I've seen videos where, the homes that have been submerged. Of course, there are places where you have places of convenience, which have all been submerged. And now it's beginning to sort of dry up a bit. But what is coming up? It's
horrible.
It's difficult.
Yes. And the worst part is that because of lack of water, people are now beginning to try and use the polluted water. That is worrying, because that is where the problems will begin in a big way. So when we say food, actually we mean potable water, right. Water that people can use to drink, to cook, and to bathe. And we have to prioritize that aspect. And that, I hope, is being done. I want to commend all the people, including Joy FM, who are making efforts to get donations, contributions, and there are many organizations who have understood the nature of the disaster and are helping. But what is key is the coordination. Because if it's not coordinated, some will get, some will not. And it may not even be used rightly. And
there are even people who may seek to profit from this.
Amen. That is actually the biggest issue in some of these issues. So it's important that there is a central coordination point. Historically, because of some experiences, and it's no fault, COVID being the number one, the government has to go an extra step to convince people that they are the best people to deal with such issues. Because people are more interested in, I'll do it myself.
Look at that building. Completely gone. Yeah. So
I don't know how people's
it's just
foundation,
uninhabitable.
Yeah.
It's just uninhabitable.
It's a complete disaster.
And you have to also think about, even when it recedes, what happens? Can you still habit this place?
Well, there's that. How are your foundations strong enough? Are the walls going to be able to hold? You could be there in your house and all of a sudden it collapses on you. So you need people to go and look at the structures to say, this is safe. You have to reinforce this, you have to do this. But then the question that you must also ask is, if it happens again in a year or two, what steps are we taking to ensure that these buildings, there are slipways, new avenues for the water?
So the dam has been spilled over the years.
Yes.
And when we engage with the authorities, they may share with us the specific numbers. So since it was constructed, I think, as I understand, it was purposefully done when it has to it's to the brim, they have to open the
Yeah.
floodgates.
Yeah.
But when they do, we understand that there's even an opportunity to sort of harness the water that they were supposed to spill. And they have done that over the years, repeatedly. The thing now is why this particular spillage has caused this kind of damage.
Well, I think that, first, let me start from the onset. There are two people are saying act of God, act of God. No. Yes, the level of rainfall, climate change, even climate change, they blame humans, but the level of rainfall, act of God, we take that. There's water in a dam. It's man that opens or closes. So this is an act of man, which had a genesis of act of God in terms of rainfall.
And an opening that you have no option.
You have no option. You must
Because
open.
if you don't, you break the dam.
And then it's worse, totally. I mean, also the dam, if the dam goes, half of Accra may even go. I mean, if according to the engineers. So you have a situation where the dam has to be opened. But these are engineers, they know volume of water. They know how much water is going to be coming out, or they can forecast. They've done simulations. So they had to have had an idea. And I think the biggest problem was lack of communication, or the urgency of the communication. You needed to let people know that this was coming in a way where they would have been evacuated in a timely fashion. What we should be talking about now is, Kwesi and Yao were so stubborn, they didn't leave. So there's one family here that we didn't get. Now we have to take boats and go and bring them. No, that's not what is happening. The whole area, everybody seemed to have remained. So there wasn't really, for me, a communication strategy that ensured that people would leave the area.
But as we engage them shortly, they seek to say that, and the people also confirm, that there had been engagement starting sometime, was it in May or June, of sensitization, all through to the point where they began to open the spillways.
This is where I'm saying that I don't say there's no communication. I'm saying the level of urgency was non-existent. Why? In the past, let's start with Akosombo Dam. First, they had 4 turbines. Now, with the refit and retrofitting, they have 6. 2, in the past, when we've had to open, you open 2, sometimes 3 slipways for it to go in that order in terms of the turbines. This time, they had to open all 6. So we are in uncharted territory, but you also know that this is going to be worse than anything we have done in the past. So the urgency of communication becomes a matter of norm. You should have gone in there and said, we are coming to enter, there's going to be flooding, move out. Move your things. Even if it meant getting in touch with NADMO and the government to bring in security agencies to literally get people out. But to just say you're going on radio and telling people, MPs didn't know about this. Chiefs didn't know about it. So even though there's communication out there, to what extent and to what level? Because not that it hasn't happened in the past. It has happened. But when you know you're going to open all, and it's going to run for a period, so now it's been open since the 15th of September. It's still not closed. And the rainfall doesn't even have to be in the area. These are tributaries where if there's still rain falling, the water is still going to be coming down. So at the moment, people are forecasting that nothing will change before the end of November. And that is a frightening thought. So there are definitely question marks that have to be answered in terms of planning and what went into the decision making based on the facts that people had.
Okay. Let's